Welcome to the Masterful Coach podcast with Molly Claire. If you're a coach who's ready to impact more lives, make more money, and create a life you love, you're in exactly the right place. Get the support you deserve as a female entrepreneur. Master your coaching skills, grow your ideal business, and honor your priorities in your personal life. Are you in? Let's get started with your host, best-selling author and master life and business coach, Molly Claire.
Hello, Coach. I am thrilled to bring you this conversation with Jackie Swainson. She is a midlife coach, one of my master coaches, and she's sharing a little bit about her story. Before we get started with that, I want to make sure that you do not miss tomorrow's webinar. That's right. On Thursday, November 7th, I am doing a live webinar at 11 a.m. Central Time. If you are not yet signed up, go to the show notes, go to my website, and sign up. I'm going to be talking about the 5 biggest coaching obstacles and how to overcome them. I'm talking about things like feeling frustrated that your client isn't making progress faster. I'm talking about the challenge in really defining what is the result you give your client and how do you ensure that that happens. And I'm also talking about those moments of feeling frozen in your sessions and worried if you can really give your client what they need, or is this out of your scope of practice? We're going to be talking about all of those things and more. So make sure to pause this podcast right now and go register if you haven't yet. It will be interactive style. I want to be helping you personally to overcome your coaching obstacles. All right. As we dive into this episode, what I love about Jackie's story is that just like so many of you, she's always been a coach at heart, always been involved in self-development, in improving herself and growing and helping others as well. And yet, none of us are exempt from having life just about take us down with crazy circumstances and challenges we face. And this is exactly what happened to Jackie. And I hope you love her story of facing this and overcoming it. And it is so beautiful to hear her share how she has changed in her approach to coaching and how much more expansive her ability is to help her clients. So I hope you love this episode as much as I enjoyed this conversation with Jackie. By the way, just as a heads up, tomorrow is the day that enrollment for Master Coach Training opens. So if you've been waiting, you've been excited, you don't have to wait much longer. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the amazing Jackie Swainson. All right, coaches, I'm so happy to have Jackie here today. Jackie is one of my master coaches in training, soon to be officially master coach. And thank you for coming, Jackie. So good to have you.
Thank you for asking me. This has just been an amazing experience. It's always a pleasure to share what we've learned. Yeah.
Isn't it the best, really, just when we have these experiences and to share it with others? It's just, I don't think we can add too much positivity and possibility into the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite poems is by Emily Dickinson, has the words in dwell in possibilities. So I like to say I'm living in possibilities. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Such a good place to live. Okay. So Jackie, tell my listeners, who are you? What do you do with your coaching business?
Okay. So I'm Jackie Swainson and I live up in Canada, where it's a lovely, lovely place. I have been coaching for about 4 years. I took a lot of certification through a program. And the reason that I went into coaching was because I got kind of stuck at 50-ish. I have had some amazing opportunities for learning and growing all the years that I've been an adult, leading women, talking with women, sharing with kids and youth, and running addiction recovery programs. So I've been giving a lot of opportunities and learned from some amazing people. And my idea was, I'm going to write a book someday. That was my goal with all this. I kept all these journals. I journal compulsively. And then 40 was sort of my preparation time. I wound down a few things. And then when I hit 50, it's like I just hit a wall. And everything that could happen to someone in someone's life in that year happened within the space of about 3 months. And I talk a bit about it on my website, like it's just like, bam. And I just like, I froze. I was just so stuck. I couldn't, high anxiety. My nervous system was all over the place. I couldn't process anything. I couldn't be there for anyone. And it took me some time to sort of go through the things that I had learned. And that's when I started doing the coaching process program. But, and we all get stuck. And we all feel like there's no answer. And so through the period of about a year and a half, I found myself, I found my answers. I got the right questions to ask, to answer. I went through the process of recreating, reconnecting, rediscovering who I am without the roles and the kids and all those responsibilities. I focused on myself. And what happened out of that was like, I became the person that I wanted to be. Not who I was, which I thought was pretty great. I thought, I thought I was okay.
Yes.
But I grew to be the person that I really was meant to be, I think.
Yes.
Through that process. And all the things that were holding me up, because I had to go really deep to get through that. It was like about a year. I had to really work hard on myself and my relationships that I always, my kids, my husband, everybody. I had to sort of reframe all of that and go really deep and tackle some of those hard memories and those hard emotions and go through them. But you come out the other side. I did come out the other side. And so now my niche is basically, I'm Jackie Swainson. I'm like all of you, I turned to midlife. This is what happened to me. And I did these things, but we can come out the other end. And so I help facilitate the process of starting and coming out the other end of where you want to be and creating who you want to be. It's never too late. And there's so much life left, right?
So much life, and as you're talking, it's like, I'm thinking about, here we are in this conversation to talk about specifically the evolution of you as a coach, right? And how growing and expanding in Master Coach training has impacted you. And I think that, as you started sharing your story, this is what I was thinking about. So I know all of you are just now meeting Jackie, but something I know about you, Jackie, is you are very authentic. You are probably one of the biggest advocates of authenticity and genuineness that I've ever met. And as I'm hearing your story, it's like you hear Jackie presenting that she got to 50 and everything happened, and then she did this deep dive. But what I also know about you, Jackie, is that the years leading up to that, you were always involved in growing, in progressing. It's not like you were just asleep at the wheel and had this awakening. And I think the reason this is so relevant to this and so relevant to all of you coaches listening is that it is amazing how none of us are ever beyond not just greater learning, but those experiences that come at us full force and require us to dig really deep. And
yes,
that's what stood out to me. I'm thinking here, I can just see you. I can see Jackie going along, growing, evolving, like really digging into life. And you're not exempt from having life come right at you. And wow, that's when you need a coach right there.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I did a bit of counseling, but I thought I liked the coaching approach. I did have a coach. And then I went into the coaching program and I went and certified and, spent 2 years doing that at the same time growing, because this was, I thought, okay, I've had this experience. Everybody looking on the outside, you're right, would say, oh, look at this. She's got everything. She's just on fire and she's going to go places.
Right.
And I'm like, people would say that. And when I was sort of hit that wall, it's like, oh, no, like I'm really struggling. Like this is a tough time of life. I'm honestly telling you, don't don't judge how I am by the way I dress or look or show up in public. Like, just please know that I'm struggling. So I was honest with it, because I thought if I hide it, well, then I'm being an imposter and I'm perpetuating this myth that everything's fine, and it wasn't. And you're right. I've always been very authentic about who I am, because that's the only way you can connect first with yourself, because you're not telling yourself stories and lies. And that's the way you make friends, like lifelong friends. Or that's the way when you meet someone and you feel that connection, it's because they're authentic. So when I first had a phone call with you, I'm like, oh, I just love this woman. She is just so real, and I could trust that. And I've been through the process to know that I can recognize and trust when someone's being authentic. So I do not want to ever be in a conversation and people are going, oh yeah, she's just, I want to really, and that was my biggest thing coming out, was I want to be me. And I'm going to continue to be me, and the way I've turned out of this, and that's how I'm showing up for life.
Yes.
And you're right. That's my biggest belief.
It is. And I think that also, all of you listening, think about this. It's like, it seems like a good idea to be fully authentic. And for some people, it's easier to do that than others. I think we all can have certain limitations or barriers to that. And I think that is in part why the work we do of really going deep with our clients is so important, because how can any of you listening, or how can any of your clients really be fully authentic if we don't even know what that means? If we feel too much fear, if we have too much shame, right? And so I feel like the work of you working with your clients as a master coach is to help them to uncover all of that, so they can not only be authentic, right, so that they can actually feel relaxed in being authentic.
Exactly right. Yeah. I think a lot of the stress that I would feel, and I do feel sometimes, is when I'm really not, acting in a way that is truly authentic. And I have to take a step back and say, okay, I'm making a big deal of this. It's not a big deal. Just sort of go back and figure that out. But besides being authentic, authenticity is so pure and so clear and clean. So there's no like underlying, there's no hidden messages. Like if I say you look really beautiful today, I'm saying it honestly. I'm not sort of like making a judgment. I'm not, I'm not wondering what she's thinking. I'm not really, or somebody says to me, oh, you look really lovely today. I'll say, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Instead of thinking, are they jealous, or what do they really mean? Or maybe I don't look that great. And there was a time that I did think that. Thank heavens for parents who taught me to be, I was raised in a home of complete acceptance of everybody and everything. In a small community. My mom and dad were amazing. And the only time that I had trouble with people not around me being authentic was when I joined the church that I belonged to. And there was a lot of hidden agendas, and there was a lot of judgments. And I'm like, really? Why? So I've kind of bucked that trend. I'm not a conformist. I'm an individual.
Yeah. And you could see that stark contrast because it felt so different than what you were
It does. Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And I think, as you were talking about that and that stark contrast, what I think is interesting as it relates to our clients as coaches, as we're helping them, is that the conversation we have in our head about ourselves, right? Typically, it's like we want it to kind of match what's on the outside, right? And so it's like, if I'm really kind to myself in my head and I mistreat it on the outside, I'm going to notice, right? Whereas it's like, so it made me think of that. I think it's an interesting thing to think about, because I think as coaches, we have the opportunity to help our clients establish what we want to be the norm for them, right? And
absolutely.
then they will invite that into their lives.
And the concept that has been absolutely amazing and sort of coalesced everything that I knew in my life and have known to this point in time is that you and in this group that we're in, I have really understood the whole holistic, the whole person's approach. So mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, soul is one of my in my logo, and like they're all connected.
Yes.
And quite often we think it's just mind,
right?
But our mind and body are connected, and our emotions are connected, and our emotions are we'll have a situation that happens and we'll feel the same emotion we did 20 years ago. We remember that. Like, so this holistic approach has opened my eyes to so many more possibilities and to better listening.
Yes,
so I'm not just thinking about, okay, it's your thoughts. And we've had, I didn't train with the model. But I did do like the CBT and cognitive stuff
cognitive approach to coaching.
A cognitive approach, but that is such a small portion.
Yes.
Because when you go to the nervous system and you go to your spirit or your soul and your body, that's where it all connects, right? So it all is connected. And when it's connected, and when people connect it, they can really feel true, honest emotion and not try to talk their way out of it. Just talking sometimes is just like, well, I feel this emotion and this is happening and then this is what, and it's like, there's more. There's more.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So because you're in Master Coach training, you're finishing it up the next couple months, and so when you have this experience in your life, you're seeking therapy, you're seeking coaching, you train as a coach with a cognitive approach. And then what was going on for you then that really compelled you to want to be a part of Master Coach training and expand your training and knowledge?
Well, because I did cognitive and then the national neurolingual neurolingual programming and that kind of stuff, and talked a lot about that. And it's good, but it seemed like only just the surface, right?
And you could feel that. You could tell that there was more.
I could feel it when I was coaching clients. I didn't really have the depth to go, I think, where I wanted to with them or help them go. But in my own body, I was like, I'm missing. Something's just not making the connection to just sort of, make it a whole thing, a whole personal experience. And I knew, I've had struggled with anxiety for years. And I knew that it wasn't just in my head. There was a physical response. There's a nervous response. There's, a memory response, different things that happen, and you recognize them. So I wanted to somehow know how to connect those together. And I did do research. I did talk to lots of people, and your name came up a lot. And so I thought, when I saw, one of your emails, it was on your email list, I signed up. I thought, okay, this woman has the skill, the knowledge, and the ability to teach me something I need that I don't know. You can read all you want, but I love being taught.
Oh, I agree, right? I mean, I think there's so much value in not only being taught in this personal way, but I just think that especially now, we really can get answers to just about everything on ChatGPT. And I do love ChatGPT, except
it's a good tool. It helps.
It's very helpful. I love ChatGPT. And I think there's something really powerful about the way we can learn together as human beings and bringing our different expertise, our different lens and experience, and at Jackie, as you were talking about, when you saw my email and you were reading about my program and you felt compelled to come to it, this kind of goes back to what you were saying at the beginning. As you know, and I spoke about this a few weeks ago on the podcast, that I felt like highly trained doing cognitive work and expanded work beyond that. I feel like I can say with confidence that I had a great level of skill I had worked with a lot of coaches. I was doing really phenomenal work, and I hit that point and that moment in my life as well that took me down. And it's the same thing for you, right? It's like so many people that have followed me during this time. What have they seen? They see Molly standing there, Molly's teaching, Molly's smiling, Molly's fine. And that wasn't inauthentic. That was one part of me that I was able to have continue to lead, right? And
yes, absolutely.
you never know what's going on inside for someone. And so I say all of this because it truly is because of my own experience of hitting such a difficult place in my life that I had to say, wow, not only are things missing, but some important things are missing. And I've got to learn all that I can so I can equip coaches to be able to support their clients through something this big.
Well, and to support yourself.
That's
through
right.
life. Because that's
right.
what that was, that's part of what started me on this latest part of my journey. Is I needed something that would keep me grounded, keep me focused, and help me grow, continue to grow, throughout my life. And a lot of people just stop growing. They're afraid of the change, so they stay where they are, and they're miserable. They can't change. They can't get through that spot. And so, you show up and for a coach, you're everybody, you look your best, you look wonderful, you're a beautiful woman and you're smiling and stuff. But we all know that underneath, we are just people who have the same kind of issues that everybody else does.
Right. We're just people.
We've learned how to cope with them. And that does not mean that we're immune to those challenges anymore.
That's right.
We slip back into those old habits just like that. Like my husband and I on the weekend, we were just like that. And I'm like, we had a day where we were both sort of doing that relationship thing that's not great. And I just said, wait a minute, let's stop. Let's take a break. I know better. I know so much better. And it also helps me then with my clients or when I'm listening to someone in our calls, to really hear and listen. And I don't mind it after someone asks a question or says something, for it to be quiet. Like there's really power in that quietness for a moment, because it means you're thinking. But it just is such a powerful place to be when you know that I have done this once, I can help others do it, and I can do it again.
That's right. And I think something you said is so vital when it comes to, just being true, and certainly in Master Coach training. And then I do want to come back to revisiting what it's like for you now at this point in your coaching journey. But I think that truly I have to be doing everything for myself that I am preaching to all of you, right? And so when I think about Master Coach training, I think of it first and foremost is a container for all of you where you have a space of safety, where you have a space of support, where you have a space where you're given permission to nurture yourself and attend to all of your needs. Because as you all are able to do that, that is where the strength can come from. And that is where you can be an extension of that to your clients. And so I believe that with all my heart and soul. And I know that you and all the master, some people say, I really just like this for me. It's great that it helps my clients too, but I get to come, I get to be nourished, I get to be uplifted here. And so, it's that first and foremost. And in fact, right before we started recording, I said this very thing to Jackie. I'm like, I practice what I preach to all of you. And so right now in my business, it is a season where my days are pretty packed, and I do not forego my self-care, and I have my routines and I have my rituals, and I am doing the things to make sure I am okay mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, physically, and every way, because I have to check those boxes in order to show up for everyone else. Right. It's an absolute.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's 100% true. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, so you came to Master Coach training because you knew there was more. You could feel that, there just were some things missing. and you could feel that this was the place to get it. Tell us now, what is it like for you now as a coach in your sessions, having more of the skill set and having that more whole person view?
I could see and hear better. I can really see and hear and feel what the person is, what my client is saying, what they're telling me, and what they're meaning. And sort of like reading between the lines, you get this intuition, this sort of sense that, okay, this is sort of where they are. And then that helps me to have questions and ask questions that will guide them where they may not want to go, and just do it gently. And give them a perspective, help them find a perspective that's different, because I'm not looking at just what they're telling me or what they've written down on a piece of paper. I'm looking at them. I'm listening. I'm doing what you do, is always because that's that's how I take it. I want them to know, yes, I've got it. And I can go, I feel I go, I'm able to go almost into their heart. Like I don't get into their heart, but I help them to get into their heart. And like that whole experience that I had with that one client with the tapping, she is now able to access that inner core that she has kept protected for so long. And sort of taking down brick by brick all the things that she had guarding that wall, because she was trying to be safe. And realizing that she's safer now than when she had up all these bricks and this wall up. And that has been, I mean, she has absolutely inspired me. And when I coach, and I coach it well, I benefit, I think, probably as much as the client does, because I get to see what I know happen to someone else. That reinforces that I understand. And I'm doing the right thing, right? I'm doing the right, and I'm not doing any harm.
Yes, that's right.
That's important to me. I don't want to harm anybody or say something and I will say, let's put that on the side till our next session, because I really want to give that some thought. I don't want to just give you an answer. I want to think about some questions that might help you. And so it's just settled me right in to just be the observer, the coach, the curious person, the questioner, for them.
Yes. And I think, so many things coming to my mind. One thing that I just want to mention, and then I want to dive more into what Jackie just said. But, I think that one of the things that we talk about and address in the program again and again is, where is the line between therapy and coaching? And right, I say there's a very clear line, and there's an almost non-existent line at the same time, right? Because there are certain things, when there are mental health disorders, personality disorders, when there are those kind of diagnoses and deep trauma, it is not our scope of practice, and we should not go there. And at the same time, I think it is very naive to think, and just not realistic, that there is a clear dividing line, because in that way, there is a clear dividing line, right? But if you look at the bigger picture, as coaches, we are in our clients' world of thoughts and emotions. And so we really do need to make sure that we are skilled and knowledgeable with having an understanding, right, of how thoughts and emotions and the nervous system fit together, of course, without crossing over that line. So I wanted to make note of that to all of you, because I think it can't be said enough. And then Jackie, as you were saying, I want to point something out to all of you listening as you're thinking about this. So Jackie, as you were saying that you're now able to see them and really hear them better, a couple of things just came to my mind. And one is that when you as a coach can have a better understanding of what is happening with the whole picture of your client, you can just see more clearly, right? It's almost like if I'm looking at a client and I'm looking through this tiny little hole and I'm seeing just a part of them, well, I'm trying to figure out what else is going on. Whereas when the view is much more open, and I can see how different parts of this person are coming into the conversation, I just have so much more clarity, and therefore you, right? You have so much more clarity. And so I was thinking about this idea of you as a result of doing this deeper dive in your training and all that we've been working through in Master Coach training. It's like, on one hand, you can see them and hear them because you have a broader view and you understand what's happening. And this part I think is my favorite part, is that because of your depth of understanding of the work, Jackie, and your connection and the way you're applying it to you, I think it allows us as coaches to have a much more clear connection with our client, because we're no longer in our own head or worried about what we're going to say or what we're going to do, or can I solve this? But instead, we just relax because we know that we have the ability to help them. And then nothing is blocking our view of actually being with our client and connecting with them and understanding what they need.
Bingo. That's exactly right. When I first started coaching, I had a coach who was didn't last long with me because
because putting it.
Yeah, she was very qualified. She was probably a lovely person.
Yeah.
But she was up here on her horse looking at me down in the mud. Like, that's the feeling that I got. Right? Like, so I have all the answers and you're toiling in the mud and I'm going to help you get clean. Well, when I'm with a client, like, we're both here. Like, I'm in the mud with you. I'm in that mud. I'm getting dirty. I'm understanding. And I know I can do that because I've been in the mud.
Yes.
I've been wallowing in the mud. I've been stuck with anxiety. I've been all those things. And so that's where the connection is, because you can, you're not here and they're here. You are you need to be here with them and present.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that one thing that I'm really big on, especially as really highly skilled coaches, it's imperative that we understand how we are able to bring guidance in our sessions while always advocating for our client to be their own authority in their life and in their knowing of what they need. Because there's a difference, right? It's like, we are like, as your master coach and mentor, instructor, right? I'm here to guide you and show you things, but I am just dead wrong if I think I know you better than you, or if I think I know what's in your best interest better than you. But I know I can ask you questions to open more of that up to you, but that's for you to say. I think that's a big deal. I want to actually do an episode on this where I'm really talking about how we as coaches can really not just like infuse, but sort of open up and bring to life in our clients their stronger sense of knowing that exists in them.
You have a question that you ask a lot when we're doing like a coaching session, more than learning, and somebody brings something up and we're doing a coaching, you're doing coaching. And I love it. And
I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like, what is this question?
I'm going to use it. It is, I'm curious. Simple phrase, but you ask it, I'm curious about, and that sort of, if you tell me you're curious about something, it's like, she really wants to know. So it's if you don't say, well, I think this, I think that, you say, I'm curious, and then you ask a question. And because you're so attuned to that individual, you kind of know what kind of question you want to ask. A lot of questions become meaningless because they're not focused. They're just sort of general questions. But even saying, I'm curious, Molly, when you were saying this, what were you thinking? And then I'm okay to sit and listen for 5 minutes if that person's thinking. I'm not going to fill in the space. I want to give them the space to answer instead of coming back with an answer. It's like, okay, what were you thinking? And sit and wait.
Yes. Because I think it's true. We as coaches, we have to learn our client. We have to learn what's really going on for them without assumptions. And the only way we can do that is being curious and interested in learning them and truly
Mhm.
listening to what's going on for them.
Yeah, because we don't know them. We don't
really
know them when we meet them. We might have a profile that they've written. We might have some questions they've asked. And in order to ask the right questions, because there's powerful, a lot of times we ask the wrong questions, but to really ask the right questions, you have to be in that space where you
Yes.
understand
Yes.
what they're trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, this has been such a great conversation. I want to close up here in the next few minutes, but I would love to know from you maybe the top 2 or 3 things that you've either incorporated in your coaching because of Master Coach training, or just what's really enhanced your ability to really serve your clients well. Those of you that can't see the video,
That's
she
book
has
number 1.
a big fat notebook that she says is book number 1 of what.
And I'm ready to start book number 2.
Oh my gosh. And there is more to come.
I know, but it's sort of the small steps. It's like I have a handout on my website, the freebie, it's called Small Steps, Big Impact. So the idea of, there's giving those small, quick wins when we help with patterns or habits or beliefs, whatever you're working on, something small that they can get a little bit of excitement about. The thing I think that's had the most, you asked me what had the most impact? Was that the question? Sure. Okay, we'll go with that. What I learned the most? I learned the most is that I can trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can trust myself, other people can trust me, and with what they have brought, and I can trust them. So just that building the trust and that personal connection. It's so important, and to spend time on that. And it's sort of the foundation, just building trust, which goes along with the authenticity and being real with yourself and trusting yourself.
Absolutely.
But trusting me that I've got this. And I love it when you say, you've got this.
You've got this.
You've got this. And I'm like, I love that, because it's like, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That's right. That's right. I mean, and that's just it, right? We come into Master Coach training, and really the foundation right from the beginning is supporting each of you as coaches to sort of put your stake in the ground of this is who I am. This is what I know about myself. How can I know myself more? How can I trust myself more? Because I am absolutely convinced of it from everything I've studied, everything I've experienced, and every coach that I've worked with, that as we can have that foundation of confidence and trust and self-connection, everything becomes easier and better. Our learning, our ability to serve our clients, our ability to build our business, it's absolutely everything. And what I love is starting with all of you there and teaching you all how to offer that to your clients, because it just solves about every problem that we have.
It does. And one thing else I learned too is a lot of times when I was first starting, I was like, what's your niche? I'm like, well, why do I have to have one? And we still have people who are master coaches are going through and they don't know what their niche is. And then I'm like, duh, it's got to be based on my personal experience, what I know. Even though that was it's a hard starting point, because it wasn't a very good experience. Well, it was in the end, but it was it took a year to go through all this and just sort of come out the other end. So why wouldn't I teach what I know? Why wouldn't I counsel with what I know? Why wouldn't I focus on what I learned? Because it was so profound that I've been there. So if someone tells me, my husband's has gone into a treatment program for pornography, for instance, I can say, well, yeah, I can empathize. I have all those. So that's I would say to anybody trying to find their niche, look at your life and where you hit that place where you just sort of boom and started from there, because that's where your knowledge is.
I love it. Love it. All right, Jackie. Well, thank you so much for being here. And of course, Jackie's information is in the show notes. If what Jackie's speaking about resonates with you, of course, check her out. She is a phenomenal coach, highly skilled and so well trained, and just obviously has a heart of gold and is so authentic. So, but tell them, what's your website? Yeah. Tell them where they can find you.
JackieSwainsonCoach.com.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you to all of you. And I'm really hoping some of you listening to this are feeling that nudge and you're ready to Master Coach certify in this next year, because the program will blow your mind. It will change
It
your
will.
life and your clients' lives.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Jackie.
Well, you're very welcome.
All right, Coach, that's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for being here. I know there are many ways you can spend your time and energy, and I am honored that you've chosen to be here with me. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you're up to date on the latest. And I would so appreciate a rating and review on this podcast. Share your experience so that other coaches can find their way here. Together, this is how we can raise the bar in the coaching industry. Let's support each other in being safe, effective, and ethical coaches. What you do as a coach matters. All right, Coach, let's connect. Discover free resources on my website, mollyclaire.com, and I'll talk with you next week.